Shalom, Israel, to the Negroes scattered to the four corners. We salute you in the name and the glory of our mighty Abba. So I want to talk about a very interesting subject. I'll call this Checkmate for a reason. Because we are seeing a huge chess game being played right out before our very eyes. And I mean, guess who is the ultimate grand master chess player? You guessed it, it is the Most High. And see, he is already 12 moves ahead of everybody. Now, I use 12 for a reason, and I'll explain that later. See, one thing y'all got to understand the mighty power of our Abba. Now, all of this was played out before this earth, or I should say, before man was even created. He already knew the beginning to the end. See, we're dealing with a power, we're dealing with a force. We are dealing with an everlasting mighty El who has no beginning or no end. Now that should give you extreme comfort into believing that the Most High will deliver his people at his appointed time. But there's a lot of things I want to talk about because there's a lot of moving pieces that are happening right now. And as you're watching and observing what's going on around the world, especially with Russia and Ukraine with the US, one thing you got to understand about our enemies and their tactics, it's always for control and power. All right, those are the two main reasons why any nation would try to rule: control and power. Now, I want you to keep those two things in mind as we go out throughout this discussion. But before we go on, let's get a couple of foundations here. So go ahead and turn your Bibles to the book of Luke, chapter 21. Luke, chapter 21. And let's look at verse 26. And verse 26 says, men's heart failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Now let me read that one more time, and I'm going to explain that, and then explain the reason why we're seeing this big panic of our enemies that are happening worldwide. All right, verse 26, men's heart failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Now let's look at this and digest this, okay? So heaven can be talking about kingdoms or your current condition on this earth. Let me give an example. So our enemies, this is considered heaven for our enemies because they're the ones who are on top. They're the head and not the tail. They're the ones with all the riches. They're the ones who control the power, the wealth, and what have you. So that's what I mean. So when the Bible is talking about heaven in the sense of their condition, their environment, this is their heaven. Now, on the contrary, this is not our heaven. Why? Because this is hell for us, because we have disobeyed, we have fell from the grace of the Most High. So therefore, we are under the control and rule of our oppressors. Now, was it ever supposed to be this way? Absolutely not. But however, it is what it is. This is what happened. So let me give you a backup for that. Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 2 says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. All right, so this is what's happening. Now, we know that these curses that we're under are slowly being turned as we speak, and as the people of the Most High get back to his laws, commandments, and statutes. We're going to see an overturning of events that's going to take place. And let me tell you something. It's going to be very exciting to see. Scary at the same time, but very exciting to see. So hold on to your chairs and keep those seatbelts on tight, because it's getting ready to be a very rough ride for a lot of our people. Now let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 30. Deuteronomy chapter 30, and let's look at verse 3. Let's see what it says. It says that then Yahuwah will turn your captivity and have compassion upon you, and will return and gather you from all the nations. From all the nations. So what does that mean? That means that wherever our people are scattered to the four corners of the earth, that's where the Most High is going to gather us. And it says, whether Yahuwah has scattered you. Now, how do we know that this is going to be a literal gathering? Well, the next verse says it right here. And that's what's so good about the word, because it explains itself. So let's look at verse 4 of Deuteronomy chapter 30. It says, if any of yours be driven out unto the outmost part of heaven, from thence will Yahuwah gather you, and from thence will he, you hear that? Will he fetch you? What does it mean to fetch something? Does that mean that you get up on your own and you just magically, mysteriously just go somewhere? No, it means that somebody's coming to get you. That's what it means. So the Most High is coming to get his people, y'all. Now, I know some of y'all may not believe that. Some of y'all may not have faith enough to believe that, but it's going to happen. All right, we don't know when that's going to happen, but it's going to happen. He says it, and this is just one testimony. There's so many verses throughout the scriptures that says that he's going to send his angel, or he's going to come get us. You read Ezekiel chapter 20 and verse 34. It gives specific details. So, you can't get away from it. He is coming back with might and power and with a strong and stretched out arm. And everybody is going to know the deal. So now let's go back to Luke chapter 21, because I want to explain something. All right, so we're back in Luke 21 and verse 26. Men's heart failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Now, we definitely know that the Most High is shaking the nations right now. He is shaking the heavens. You are shaking the leadership, because that's another form of heaven, the leadership. So you have all these world leaders that are rising up against one another. You have America with her allies, and you have Russia with her allies. And of course, we pretty much know the lineup. We know that Russia is allied with China and North Korea, Iran, Venezuela, and a few more. And we know that the U.S. is allied with the European Union, NATO. And so there's a lineup. So what we're seeing now is a chess game being played out right before our very eyes. We see a power shift. And I'm going to tell you something. One thing that scares U.S. more than anything is the rise of another superpower. And see, this is what the Cold War was all about, trying to bring them down, and is because Russia was a major competitor to the U.S. Now, I'm no politician. I'm just telling you how it's all laid out, because we're seeing it played out right before our very eyes. So why is it that U.S. is so concerned? Why is it that we see a lot of people, we see a lot of chills going down people's spine, especially of our enemies, because they know something is up. See, a shift is happening, and the one who's really behind it is the Most High. Now, let me show you something very significant. I'm going to show you a prophecy in the scriptures that is fulfilling right before our very eyes. All right, so let's go to the book of Daniel, and please bear with me because we got a lot to cover. The book of Daniel, chapter 2, and let's start with verse 42. And it says, and as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly weak. So we know that this is talking about kingdoms. All right. Verse 43 says, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with merry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. Now, why am I showing you this? Because we are seeing this in real time, y'all. In real time. Let me explain. If you are familiar with the European Union, if you're not, the European Union is your European countries who are trying to unite with US and other countries, with other European countries. Now, it's going to appear that they're uniting, but they are so divided. Y'all should look up the history of the European 100-year war. You know, before the Moors came in and taught them how to be civilized. Go study the European 100-year European war. See, they were always fighting. That's what they're used to. They were always fighting and everything. And you know, that right there tells you that these people were never civilized in the first place. So getting back to this, we are seeing this fulfilled because as iron and clay cannot mix, I don't care how you try to slice it, you cannot mix iron and clay. So now you have the European Union that's trying to unite as a united front, but they can't do it because they have problems within themselves. All right. And we already know what the next phase is going to be. That is going to be that huge rock that's going to come and destroy everything. Destroy everything, because you got to understand these nations are nothing but a repeat or a remnant of all the other nations prior to it. That's what you have to understand. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking, wow, we're so close. Yes, we are close. But here's the thing. You cannot put a timestamp on this. You cannot say, oh, this is going to happen tomorrow. This is going to happen next year. We don't know when this is going to happen. And see, the Most High's time frame is not our time frame. So everything that's being played out is being played out specifically for his people. All right. And so what we have to do and realize is that we got to be very careful, especially when trying to predict something or when it's going to take place or try to anticipate it. We just have to be ready at all times because we never know when our time is going to be up. And that's just a fact, because our life is like a vapor. But we are living in some crazy times, y'all, and everything is telling the true test. Now, some people may call this, and I hear a lot of people saying this is World War III and this is the beginning of it. Well, I'll tell you from my perspective, I don't believe that we're in. Well, let me put it this way: we've been in a World War III for a while, and this World War III has been a silent war. A war that's been hidden in plain sight. Let me explain. Now, when I say hidden, I mean that a lot of people don't understand what's really going on because they're distracted by other things. Now, y'all remember the whole Afghan refugees that are, that are being brought over here, even as we speak. There's roughly millions of them already in the U.S., and there's hundreds of thousands of them already that have been released into the public. All right, I explained that before in a previous video. And I truly believe that this is part of the third war. See, this World War III is a silent war. It's going to be a war where many bills and legislations are passed. It's going to be a setting up of the mark of the beast, the setting up of the New World Order. Pretty much the New World Order is already here. But you see what I'm saying? This third war has so many pieces to it, y'all, that it's more complicated than people think. Now, you got some brothers and sisters think that there's going to all of a sudden be a nuclear holocaust and missiles are going to be just flying everywhere. I'm going to be honest with you, brothers and sisters. That's not going to happen like you think it's going to happen. All right, because why? Because the Most High has his people scattered to the four corners, and as long as the Most High has his people scattered to the four corners, he is not going to cause world destruction. Not yet. Not in the way that we think. It's coming. But you see, this thing is so beautiful, y'all. I mean, like, I see it. I see it in plain sight. And this is why I say that this is such a beautiful plan that the Most High has laid out for his people. You know why? Because the Most High has us hidden for a reason. Did y'all hear what I said? The Most High has us hidden for a reason, reserved for a specific time. Let me explain what I mean by that. And you all should be thanking the Most High that he has us hidden. So for the most part, the mainstream people of this earth, talking about all the non-melanated, and of course a lot of our people who are asleep, do not know who we truly are. Okay, your mainstream. When I say mainstream, we're talking about the norm population. They don't, because who do they look to as the Jews? Yeah, they look to the Khazars over in Jerusalem as the Jews. But that's going to change. So I see that how the Most High is putting these pieces together, and he's going to have to work out some elimination within Israel, because remember, the Bible says that judgment will begin at the house of the Most High, or the house of Yah, or the house of Yahweh, however you pronounce it. But that as it may be, know this for sure: the Most High is going to clean house. And when he cleans house and gets us to a point where we need to be, then the Most High is going to reveal his people, his true people, before the whole world. Now, you have your elites that already know this. You have some people in the mainstream that know who we are. Okay, but for the most part, we are still hidden. And that's part of the plan, y'all. I'm telling you, it's going to be such a powerful sight if we're alive by the grace of the Most High to see that even happen. All right? Just be faithful, y'all. Be patient. Now, let's talk about some current events that are taking place right now, right before us. Now, you know your man over there in Russia, your man Pootie Boy, old Pootie Boy, you know he called the U.S. out. He called them the empire of lies. And you know what's so funny about that is that we don't even have to fact check that. I mean, we know it's facts. But I just thought it was funny because, see, the whole world is making this man to be a monster. But see, nobody really knows what the whole deal was and why Russia is doing what they're doing. But getting back to the whole empire of lies now, we already know we don't have to fact check that because, look, when they invaded Iraq, they accused them of weapons of mass destruction. But you know, these other countries like Russia, China, already had weapons of mass destruction, but they didn't go invade them. And see, I said before in an earlier video that America is used to attacking people who can't fight back. We already know the deal with Iraq. That was to take the oil and take their resources. That's what they do, y'all. Come on, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. We know all about slavery. We know all about the mischievous things that they do. The Bible says that the wicked are estranged from the womb and they go out lying. That's them. That's their nature. Money is their God. And that's why I said that we must separate from the serpent seed, because our people, we are starting to become just like them. You know, and even for us, money has become our God. I mean, it's ridiculous, y'all. So the whole thing with Ukraine, to make a long story short, so when Ukraine broke away back in 1991, around that time, you know, of course, it was the Khazarians, the ones they called the Jews over in Jerusalem, because that's their birthplace. Ever since then, they've been trying to set up a shadow government to take down Russia. Again, it all boils down to trying to stop these other superpowers, because when the U.S. came into power back in the 1700s, you know, they broke away from the Brits, created their own currency, and so now things are starting to go south. The Most High is shifting things. He's shifting powers. Remember, the Most High says he sets up kingdoms and he takes them down. So right now, there's a big threat that's happening right now. And we are seeing such a change in a way. See, this is different, y'all. You know, we know the Bible says that there will be wars and rumors of wars. Nation shall rise against nation. But this is a little different. This is the first time. Now listen to me. This is the first time ever that America is losing its power since it became a nation. Now that is historical, because once we begin to see that, we're going to see a lot of other things that's going to start to take place. And this is why our enemies, the serpent seed, are starting to fear. Bible says, why do the heathen rage? We're going to see a lot of that. And what happens when a person panics? Have you ever been around a person who panics? They can't think straight. They don't see straight. They just act on impulse, and they'll do anything. Does that sound familiar? So does it sound like the white police officers? So our enemies are panicking, y'all, and they smell it. They see the fear. They smell the fear, and they don't know what to do. They stocking up on all these dry foods, and they stocking up on ammo, weapons, building their little underground bunkers, but nothing is going to save them. They are going to have to get that work. And no matter how much they try to kill us off, they're not going to be able to do it. Now, I think I shared this book before. I'm not too sure. I think I did. But if you get a chance, this is a really good read, because this book is called The Grand Chessboard by Zbigniew Brzezinski. And it's talking about I read this book over 10 years ago. And it's talking about how the new superpowers would come into play, and how all this is being played out on a chessboard. And everything that was said in this book has pretty much come into fruition, because now you have two rising superpowers pretty much already in play, which is China and Russia. All right, and Iran is starting to rise up, the ancient Persians. So you can see why our enemies would be so fearful, especially Americans now. And this is why a lot of people are scrambling, because they see what's happening in the world, and a lot of them are really, their hearts are failing them for fear. They're going crazy, but we ain't seen nothing yet, y'all. We ain't seen nothing yet. It's never ever going to go back to a normal that we were used to 3 years ago. I'm telling you, from here on out, there's going to always be something. There's going to always be something to keep people in the fear. There's going to always be some crazy drama going on. And this is just the beginning, y'all. We ain't seen, I mean, the Bible says it. Let me show y'all right quick. Let's go to the book of Daniel, chapter 12 and verse 1. All right, let's look at this, verse 1. And it says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince. Now, Michael is one of the 7 angels. And let me just quickly give you the names of the 7 angels. So you have Uriel, you have Raphael, you have Reuel, you have Michael, or Michael, as people call him, Sarakel, Gabriel, and you have Jerimiah. And these are the same 7 angels that are going to blow the trumpets. Most High is not playing, y'all. So going back to Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1, we start that again. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. Now, let me explain something to you. Now, we know that each generation of our people had their time of trouble. We know that 70 AD was a time of trouble for our people, because they were ran out of their land. Had to spread out into Africa, different parts, which was known as Negro land. So even prior to that, during the capture when Babylon captured Israel, that was their time of trouble. But it says right here that there's going to be a time of trouble since there was no nation on this earth. So that means that all the time of troubles that our people been through, nothing is going to be compared to this one that we're going to be going through. And if you all think y'all seen something, we haven't seen nothing yet, you all. This is what we're seeing right now is nothing. It's just the beginning of sorrow. This is the beginning of woes. But we got to be strong, Zion. We got to be strong, Israel, to make it through this. And we're going to really have to lean on one another. And I'm talking about our people. We're going to have to stop downing our people. We're going to have to stop hating our people. We're going to have to stop fighting our own people. We're going to have to stop fighting over these laws, commandments, and statutes, y'all, and start keeping them faithfully without question. Y'all hear me? We need to obey the Most High without question. We don't even need to be questioning the Most High. We just need to do what He tells us to do, what He says, because He always has a plan to protect His people. But it's like our people never want what the Most High has for us. And what the Most High has for us is true freedom. It is true freedom and true power. But we don't want that. We want everything that our enemies have, and we want to be just like them. I don't understand it. It just blows my mind. And this silent World War III that's being played out right in front of us is hidden in plain sight. And the ultimate goal of this, you all, is to eliminate the Most High's people. That's what this is all about, because when the Most High created man, after He done kicked the angels out, the fallen angels, they were so jealous, and ever since then they wanted to turn everything against the Most High, even nature itself. That's how angry these fallen beings are, and they will do anything in their power that they can do, working with the serpent seed to bring us to naught. But the Most High has a plan, and I say He has us hidden for a reason, because things are getting ready to pop like we've never seen it before. And a lot of our people were so shocked to see the treatment of our scattered people in Ukraine, and it was like, okay, why are you surprised? But it's good that our people are starting to see things for what they are, because we were all asleep at one time. We were all in ignorance at one time. It's a spell, y'all, believe it or not, but it is a spell. We were under a spell, and many of us are still under that spell. We haven't completely separated from the serpent seed. And so it's taking our people time. But just to tell you how powerful that spell is crazy. But so many of our people we have to pray for are still under that spell. So don't be dismayed what you're seeing that's happening, that's taking place. We see a number of things, tons of things that are happening all at once. And we're going to see where this thing goes. But know this, there is a power shift that is happening among the superpowers. And the U.S., the main known superpower for almost over 200 years, is starting to fade. It's starting to fade to its enemies. And the Most High is telling the other nations, checkmate, your move. Now I want y'all to read the two last chapters of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15 and 16. That's where they got the book of Eli from. But that hasn't happened yet. And I want y'all to read that. Just read it over and over and over. Because y'all, we're getting ready to see some things. And this is not for us to be fearful or to be scared, because the word says that I have not given you the spirit of fear. We should rejoice, we should be excited, but at the same time, we should really be working out our salvation with fear and trembling, because we can fall off at any time. And that's a fact, y'all. So we don't need to play around with this thing. We don't need to be, trying to straddle the fence. We got some decisions to make, and we got to make these decisions quick. Who are we going to serve? Are we going to serve money, or are we going to serve the Most High? We're going to serve man, or we're going to serve Elohim. That's your choice. And unfortunately, you have a choice to follow Satan. But for me and my house, I choose to follow the Most High and keep His laws, commandments, and statutes to the best with all my power, might, soul, and strength. So this silent, epic war that's going on, you may say, well, why do you say that it's silent and epic? Because there's a lot of things that's happening. You think because Ukraine and Russia are fighting one another, that's a distraction, y'all. That is a distraction. We know that They already had that planned out. But the real hidden agenda is being played behind closed doors. And that is to bring an end of the New World Order. So those pieces that are part of this silent war is the economy, bringing it to a one world currency, bringing it to a one world government, and trying to eliminate the Most High's people. That is the silent World War III that they are fighting, y'all. But the Most High has already intervened. He has already intervened. And he said that his seed will last forever. You're not going to destroy the Most High seed, y'all. You're not going to destroy his special people, because the covenant has never been broken. We broke the covenant, but the Most High never broke his covenant. And we should be praising the mighty Abba for that. We should be on our knees thanking him night and day, because he could have just disowned us. He could have just dropped us off and not even considered us as his people. So brothers and sisters, we got to wake up. Stop the madness. Let's get our acts together. Come out of these Christian churches, because they're not doing you any good. You're not getting any investments on them. And all they're doing is keeping our people in bondage. Hustlers and pulpit pimps. That's all they are. Only using their churches for money grabs and for hustles. And just imagine if just 30% of our people just stopped going to churches, stopped going to these Christian churches. We could shut these churches down overnight. And then what they're going to do, because guess what? They can't do a thing. And see, I can't fault the pastors, because it's the people who are giving them the money. And whoever whoever you give your power to, that's who you give your power to. And as long as our people continue to give their money to these wicked pastors and these wicked churches, guess what? These churches are going to continue to operate. But we have the power to do something about it. We do. But our people do not realize the strength of their power. They don't. But our enemies do. And this is why this is a big chessboard that's being played out right before our very eyes. And we are part of those pieces. But the Most High is the one who's guiding us. So, but with that being said, I pray and sincerely pray that you have been edified, and that you will go back, search your hearts, search your souls. All right, we got to make some changes, Zion. We got to. It's a must. We have to make some changes. We can't keep repeating the same things over and over, or we're gonna be stuck in this perpetual loop of slavery and bondage. And I know you all don't want that. I don't want it. And I know many of us want to get out of here. But it's not up to us. Well, it is up to us in the sense that we need to get back to these laws, commandments, and statutes. But you all know what I'm talking about. And here's the bonus. Those 12 moves, I was saying earlier that the Most High has 12 moves ahead of all these nations, because each move is for the nation of the 12 tribes of Israel. Y'all, this thing is happening, y'all. This thing is real. And all of this is happening because of his people, the Negroes scattered to the four corners of this earth. Believe that. So let's do this. Let's do this, Israel. Let's stop playing around. And let's start praying for destruction. Let's start praying against these wicked pastors and these wicked churches. Write it down. Words have power. So just wanted to leave you with those jewels. And I say shalom and stay strong. And I leave you with Revelation 14:12.